One of the most interesting teams last season in the NBA was the Houston Rockets, and coming into this season, definitely, yet again, the Rockets are going to be a team that you should definitely keep an eye on. Once they hired head coach Ime Udoka, who was formerly the coach of the Boston Celtics, he's definitely helped change the identity of this team and the direction that they are going. Not only that, but adding the additions last season with all the money they did have in Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks, the Rockets surprisingly finished with a 41-41 record. For a team that is considered in that rebuilding phase, that's still very, very impressive. So I really wouldn't be surprised this upcoming NBA season we see the Rockets make some big noise out in the wild Western Conference. But before this video really starts, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because my goal is to possibly hit 1,500 subscribers by the end of the year. If you can definitely help me make that happen, that would be awesome. Thank you, if so. If you ask me within the next 4 years which teams are going to be running the Western Conference, well, I'm going to really just keep it straight up with you. I'm going to have to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder, Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, and the Memphis Grizzlies. I feel like those are the teams really that the future of the Western Conference will be ruled by. Are relatively young and have a lot of high upside. And when it comes to the Houston Rockets, this is without a doubt what they have with many players on their roster. And the first guy who I have to start off with is Alperen Sengun. And this guy, he has a lot of comparisons to Nikola Jokic, and it's very easy to tell why. If you see his playmaking, his ability to set great screens, ability to shoot a three, his unorthodox style of play as far as how he just lets the game come to him. When it comes to the offensive end of the basketball court, it's no doubt that this guy is one of the most talented players in the league. May not be the most capable defender, but he makes everybody's life easier for this Rockets team on the offensive end. He's able to find guys in a variety of ways when it comes to his playmaking ability. So that's running in transition, players coming off of cuts, screens, been just making a play out of nothing. He is a very, very capable passer in that way, which makes him very gifted. And the reality is now, for big men, one of the key ways for them to really add more value to their team is being able to be a great playmaker. And we've seen this formula work, because this is exactly what Nikola Jokic has been able to do on this Denver Nuggets team. Even when you look at players like Domantas Sabonis on the Sacramento Kings, is another really great example of a guy who is a great screen setter, also a really great playmaker, great rebounder. He can really do it all at the big position. Looking at this for Sengun, each year of his NBA career, he's just drastically improved each season, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him take another pretty big jump next season. There has even been reports that he's actually slimmed down more as far as his weight goes, and that a lot of their staff with the Rockets, they've been with him pretty much all year long with him in the offseason. So I feel like as far as mobility goes, especially for him, that's going to really help him out even more. Guy is just overall their best player on this Rockets team. Each year, he's getting better and better, and we saw him take that massive jump into becoming the best player on this team last season. I really wouldn't be surprised this year if we hear him in the conversations as being an all-star. I believe that he's definitely going to improve as far as three-point shooting. He's going to improve his playmaking even more. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him take another jump in that direction as well too. Overall, this guy is just a great player. And the last point I really want to make is some people don't think that he's their best player because of the Rockets last season going on that 10-game winning streak. However, if we really take into context on the games that they played and the teams during that time, they really weren't that good. Some guys were out with injury as well. The only really good one they had during that stretch was against the Sacramento Kings, really putting that into perspective. But that leads me to the next guy that I really wanted to talk about on this Rockets team, and that is Jalen Green, who complements Sengun's game very, very well. He's a very great slasher, athletic guard type of player. And really what was impressive as well, as I mentioned recently with that 10-game winning streak last season, that's when Jalen Green, he really took off for this Rockets team when, they were talking about possibly trading him and things of that nature. He really stepped up last season. And during that stretch, he averaged 28 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, and he shot 48.2% from the field, which is very impressive when you take into the consideration that he's not really been the most efficient player throughout his NBA career so far. If you give him the credit that he does deserve, he has really improved his game now to the point where he is a 3-level scorer. He actually has improved as a playmaker and has a great ability to come off screens, find the open man, split the defense, still have the ability to still find the open man. And what makes that really impressive is that defenders now, teams know how capable of an offensive player he is really becoming. And this really stands out when you look at the fact that when he scored 25 or more points, and he did that 24 times last season, in those games, the Rockets were 16-8. Really, if the Rockets want to take that next jump next season, a lot of it is very, very heavily reliant on how good Jalen Green really does become next season. Because if he played like any version he did during that 10-game stretch where he just went off during that 10-game winning streak, this Rockets team is going to be something really special to watch. But just looking at it, though, still from a positive standpoint, last year for him, even though he's not the most capable defender, he still put up the best defensive rating of his career last season. And he's shown ability, as I said before, to be a better playmaker as well. Assist numbers have gone up. He's also increased his rebounding numbers from last season. Really, I believe that if he can really just shoot more in the mid-40s as far as his field goal percentage, this is really going to help out this Houston Rockets team in many, many ways, because it showed during that stretch when they didn't even have Sengun playing as well. But yes, a lot of the Rockets' future success, if they decide to keep this core together, is going to be on Jalen Green and how really good of a player he does become. Another guy who I really wanted to discuss on this Rockets team, who I really am excited to see, is Thompson. He is really a player with a lot of high upside. Really looking at him, he's still in a way like a raw prospect in my opinion, because yes, he has a pretty decent skill set, but really one of the major things that he doesn't have part of his game that is definitely needed in this NBA today, and he's actually shown some signs of really improvement in this way, is three-point shooting. It's an area that definitely needs to be more improved in his game. But just looking at it from not that perspective alone, he has really a lot of potential to be an all-NBA defender this season. He also has great playmaking ability. When he started games last year alone, he averaged 13.2 points per game, 12 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and he had a true shooting percentage of 60%, which is just incredible. He just has a great combination of size and strength, speed. He also has really great body control as well when it comes to that. Overall as well, too, he has great finishing ability around the rim. This guy is one of the best athletes in the NBA, period. Really, if he can improve his three-point shooting, if he can improve as being at times a primary ball handler, I think that this guy has the potential to be really one of the best potential players on this Rockets team. If he could just improve these areas of his game, there's no doubt in mind that his game is going to take a huge level up. And you need guys like this on your team, though. You need guys who are going to go out each night and guard your best player. There's no doubt in mind that he's certainly capable of doing that on any given night. Another Houston Rocket player that should definitely be mentioned is Tari Eason. He's definitely a huge role on this team. He comes off the bench, but he's definitely a defensive-minded type of player. He plays with that energy and just tenacity on the defensive end. He's great at reading passing lanes, guarding on ball, guarding multiple positions. He's also really good at defending contested shots off dribble. He's a very great transition player, especially on the defensive end as well, even when it comes to blocking shots. Essentially, everything defensively speaking that you will want in a player, he pretty much has it all. And pairing him with Thompson, especially under Ime Udoka's defensive scheme of switching everything, this team is really just going to be really fun and entertaining to watch on the defensive end. I wouldn't really be surprised if we see both of these guys have defensive all-NBA team considerations. And not so much on that, but if they actually stay healthy all year long, don't be surprised if we see that Rockets team that was already ranked 10th last year in defensive rating go up to possibly top 3, maybe even number 1. You never know. But for Tari Eason, he's definitely going to be a really good piece to always have on this Houston Rockets team. Definitely a hidden gem any given night. Also, Jabari Smith, another great 3-and-D type of player on this game with a pretty solid mid-range touch. He also still as well has a lot of great potential to really grow more on this Rockets team. And the guy who I also wanted to talk about on this team that really just has rookie year potential, as many people are saying, is Reed Sheppard. Now look, he just played in the summer league. He's shown pretty good highlights in the preseason as well. But I really like Reed Sheppard. He's a very capable spot-up shooter. Really what he played more so when he was in college, but once he transitioned more into the summer league, he really showed off his ability to be a really great ball creator. Also, for a guy in this new era, very, very good mid-range shooter, which is something that's kind of dead now in this game, even though we have, a few guys who still do it. Really shown that ability in this game. He also can just read the game really well. And if he turns out to be the player that many people are expecting him to be, especially winning Rookie of the Year possibly for this Rockets team, that's just really putting them into a position to really be even better. And they could possibly as well move on from Fred VanVleet and really take the keys and give it to Reed Sheppard and run the point guard for this Rockets team. Really still, of course, need to see how he plays in a whole 82-game NBA season. Another guy who I really wanted to talk about as well for this Rockets team is Cam Whitmore, who was surprisingly drafted relatively late in last year's NBA draft. Many people didn't expect him to get drafted that low, but Cam had a pretty good rookie season, even though he missed a lot of time due to injury. Still showed a lot of great capabilities. One thing about Cam, he's great off ball. He's also really one of the best transition players in the NBA during that time while he was playing. He's also plays a lot bigger than his actual size. He plays more like a 4, really, even though he's a guard. And he did average 12.7 points per game. And he's also another great defender on this Rockets team. But he just has to really improve, in my opinion, more on that way as far as just IQ and just his overall awareness, because there are just times where he will make plays that were just very questionable. But overall, I think he has a lot of upside as well in being a really good key piece on this Rockets team. Really, in general, when you look at this Rockets team, they're really going to be good. They're deep. Honestly, I don't think they're going to be able to keep all these guys, of course, on this team who they have, who are young and developing still. They're not going to be able to really keep them all, but I feel like the ones that will stay is going to really contribute big for this Rockets team. I also like it that they also got Steven Adams, who we all know is a great screen setter, great transition pass player. Like, he is just really going to help this Rockets team in many ways too. But overall, this team, Ime Udoka's come in and helped them become one of the best defensive teams in basketball, thanks to as well of having guys in the way that they do, and Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Amin Thomas. I mean, the list goes on how many great defenders that this Rockets team has. But I really feel like what's really going to help them out even more next season is just the overall growth and development of their players. If they all come back next season even better, it's just going to help them out in a really, really big way. But it's going to be really hard, as y'all know, in this Western Conference. So I'm not really going to put like extremely high expectations on this Rockets team. I feel like a goal for them next season that will be really good, realistically speaking, is being a play-in team, possibly a first-round type of team. Like, I feel like if they can make the play-in, that is a successful season, because, man, that Western Conference is just crazy loaded. I mean, you have like 10 to 12 teams that have a legit chance of really making it and competing really in the playoffs. So that's just putting it into that perspective is just crazy. Houston Rockets, man, look, they've really done great at rebuilding ever since they lost James Harden a few years ago, and they've kind of gone down, this rebuilding phase and having some really losing seasons. It's really interesting and good to see how they're really taking a comeback and actually becoming yet again one of the premier best teams in basketball. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we have this conversation within the next 3 to 4 years of the best teams in the NBA being the Rockets, in the Western Conference specifically, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Spurs, and the Grizzlies. But we'll see what happens, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.